Today we'll be looking at timetables. Timetables are really good at giving us information, and usually that information is about when something will happen. You might use a timetable when you're going to the cinema to see what time the movies start, or maybe you'll use a timetable to find out when you will catch a bus or a train. The timetable which we have here is telling us about the time which different trains arrive at particular stations. Now, the best way to find out what a timetable is telling you is to look at the headings. So I can see here this heading which says destination will tell me about where the train goes, and you can see all of the different stops here. Also, I can see that there are many trains this day which go at different times. For example, I can see that train 1 will be at Stockholm at 7:10 in the morning, whereas train 2 will be at Stockholm at 8:35. Train 3 will be at Stockholm at 11:35, and so on. There are some parts of this timetable which do not have a time on them. This will tell us that that particular train does not stop at that station. For example, train 2 does not stop at Solna, whereas train 4 does not stop at Täby. Today we're going to look at two different questions which you might be asked. So the first question: today I am travelling from Solna to Gävle. I must arrive before 1300, which is 1 o'clock. Which train can I catch? Well, a good way to start this problem is to look at the trains which arrive at Gävle. So these are the train times which arrive at Gävle. You can see that the first train arrives at 11:27, the next train arrives at 12:42, the next one arrives at 16:18, which is 4:18, but that's too late. So I must catch one of these two trains. Now, if we look back at the question, you can see that we are travelling from Solna. So if I look at train 1, that arrives at Solna at 7:35. But train 2 does not stop at Solna. So the only train which I can get, which will arrive before 1 o'clock, is train number 1, and that will arrive at 11:27. The next question is, which train takes the least amount of time to go from Märsta to Knivsta? So we'll be most importantly looking at these two stations. So we can look at train number 1, train 2, 3, and 4. And we're looking at the train which takes the least amount of time. So we're going to have to do some working out. Now, it's important to remember that when we are using time, we can't use the vertical methods very well. And this is because in time, we only have 60 seconds in a minute and 60 minutes in an hour. So what we're going to do is look at each train and see how long it takes to get from the first station to the next. So let's start with train number 1. So the first train leaves Märsta at 8:36. And I like to always go to the nearest hour. So if we're going to go up to the nearest hour, that will be 9 o'clock. And that will take a total of 24 minutes. From 36 all the way up to 60 is 24. And then we can see that it arrives at Knivsta at 9:24. So from 9 o'clock until 9:24 will be a total of 24 minutes. That means that this train has taken a total of 48 minutes. The next train, train number 2, takes off at 9:54, and if we go to the nearest hour, that is 10 o'clock, and that will take from 54 up to 60, which is 6 minutes, and then go, and it actually arrives at Knivsta at 10:42, which means that it has taken 6 minutes until 10 o'clock. From 10 o'clock until 10:42 is an extra 42 minutes, which means that in total the train has taken 48 minutes also. The third train leaves at 1:17 or 13:17. So if it leaves at 13:17, we'll go up to the next hour, which is 14 o'clock. And that will take a total of 43 minutes. And then it arrives at Knivsta at 14:07, which means it will go again and arrive at 14:07, which is a total of 7 extra minutes. And then we can look at 43 plus 7 is a total of 50 minutes. Lastly, the fourth train leaves Märsta at 15:08, and it actually arrives before the next hour. It arrives at 15:48. And the amount of time which we go from 15:08 up until 15:48 is an extra 40 minutes. So in total, the fourth train has taken 40 minutes, which tells us that the fastest train, or the train which takes the least amount of time to go from Märsta to Knivsta, is train number 4, which leaves at 15:08 and arrives at 15:48. If you have any questions, or you'd like some questions to work on from the book, you can look at page 126.